I sort of measure, one of the things that struck me, and I've got great friends at DataBeam and I've got great friends at Lexmark, but I've never understood where are the spin outs from those companies. You got hundreds of engineers. Where's the vibrant community? Decades of investment. Why aren't they starting companies?
I told you, the Hub told me that of the DataBeam, how many went over? 60 or 65 engineers that got bought in 1997, 98. They're all still there.
Yeah. It's
well, one theory is that it's such a one-horse town that you kind of stick with the horse you know. It's too risky to find people, find investment, that you want to stay here.
I know that when we've recruited people here, one of their concerns is that if it doesn't work out, what do I do?
So that's a scale problem, I mean, it's
sure.
Obviously, Lexington's a big town, not a city. 250,000 people, which is not that. There's not enough critical mass of.
I would also contend that there's a bunch of us's that are all in the corners, and we don't. One of the reasons I think IN2LEX is so important is that we need to build a community here. We need to know each other. We need to provide support for each other. We need to speak as much of a one voice as we can. I think there's a lot going on. It just doesn't ever get the necessary critical mass to get through. Like I said, there were 3 MIT engineers in a barn in Carter County. I mean, these people are off the chart smart. There are at least 3 companies waiting to start. One of them, well, 2 of them had companies, started companies, moved to Kentucky.
How about reconciling your notion that no matter what you put together for a pro forma, it's going to be wrong, because once you get out of the building and talk to customers, they're going to find your assumptions are wrong.
Again, I look at this, especially me, when I think about my program, I build these big models because I'm strange, but to me, again, it's a measurement of how well I've thought through the process. So just how much detail have I put into my guesses, right? How much work have I really put into the guesses? I know I'm going to be wrong, right? But to some point, it's difficult to understand what I need to throw out and what I need to keep.
It's that old saying, half of it's wrong, you just don't know which half.
That's what they talk about advertising. Yeah.
I think that one of the tricks too, Jim, is that if you spend too much time on it, you get married to it, and you don't want to admit that you feel like you've got this big investment in it. So I think that's a piece of it too. Is that if you spend 3 months writing a 60-page business plan with all kinds of great graphics, it's like you want that to be it, and it's harder to say the first day you go out and start to talk to a customer that's wrong because you've got so much invested. So. But I think that's part of the trick.
And if you look at the comment section in the Iridium post, they talk a lot about being wed to the idea and really arguing it all the way down to the crater. So it's a tough balance. I mean, it's I think everybody's presented with reality. It's just are you listening?
How about a time frame? Because I had a guy today. I'm trying to raise some money, so I had a guy today who said, "I want to see a 5-year." Pro forma, including balance sheets and cash flow statements. And that's just silly. I mean, think about looking out 5 years for a company that really doesn't exist today and create a cash flow statement. Not just a P&L, but timing of cash.
So, Paul, now, knowing what I know now, what I would say to him is, I can do that exercise, but it's going to be wrong. You know it's going to be wrong. Do you still want me to do it? If he says yes, then I'd probably skip that investment.
You're more polite than I am.
But I'll argue differently. I think there are, in any business model, critical inflection points in value, right? Create first product ship, European distribution, and so over a span of 5 years, you're going to have several critical inflection points, and you've got to at least understand how much it might cost. Is it a $5 million deal? Is it a $25 million deal? So I'm thinking ballparks here, right? Major, like we're looking at a medical device today, and we've got a South American trial, we've got a European trial, and we've got a product launch in Europe. And each one of those is a huge value increase in the company, and each one of them costs money. And I can now at least begin to talk about planning on return on those investments over a period of time. That's about a 24-month burn right there. I'm gonna spend $3 million, and it could be worth $100 million.
And it's relative, Jim. I mean, think about the business. Web startup, where, as you said, $10,000 will take you a long way. $500,000 might take you to cash flow positive. You really want to look out 5 years and try to project what the business is going to look like. That one doesn't make sense.
Frames of reference, I would agree. That's the age-old question. What the VC say? Well, 5 years. We cut off year 5, take year 4 revenue, cut it in half, and then that's where we start from to negotiate the value of the company. I mean, so there's conventional wisdoms on both sides.
Yeah, a year isn't enough. 2 years, probably not. 5 years, too many. So.
Well, I always think that a monthly cash flow for 12 months is it's a budgetary exercise that needs to be done. Too many startups don't have the discipline, in my opinion, of running to a budget. And you got to be, to me, I think you're responsible to those investors, and you need to be reporting them on a monthly basis what you're burning, what you're projected to burn, and what are the big milestones that may move that burn either or the other.
Jim, I just wanted to add one other thing. What you're talking about as far as the inflection points is a really good point. And if the investor is really looking for those inflection points, then it's completely valid. If it's dumb money, that might be okay too. Dumb money has its place. You don't necessarily need smart money. Smart money comes with a premium. Sometimes dumb money is a good thing, and sometimes it's okay to make the strategic decision. This guy wants a bi-weekly, five-year cash flow, so I'm going to generate for him. I know it doesn't stand a snowball's chance in Hades of being correct, but for the purposes of concluding this transaction, I'll do it. Take the money. It all depends upon the analysis of what that investor is bringing to the table in terms of money, other resources, the overhead that you're going to have to commit to supporting that investor. Every investor comes with costs. So that I want to point out that trade-off, it might be worthwhile under the right circumstances.
Good point. Does everybody understand dumb money, smart money ideas? It's conventional wisdom. Many kind of classify investors as dumb money, smart money. Smart money being extremely well connected, adding a lot of value to the startup.
Besides cash. Other than cash.
Other than cash. So somebody might be a great board member, can network into your business and space, could bring sales. Very strategic relationship. Dumb money is just money, right? It just shows up and it's there to fund the operations. That investor can't really impact. Sometimes it's a negative impact. To Alex's point, they may have onerous or certain expectations that are counterproductive to the business. It's just terms that are sort of thrown around the business.
I think they're still valid. Because to me, the VCs, the ones that sort of castigated right at the very start, used to hold themselves out as being smart money.
Right.
You're not going to find too many people who bill themselves as dumb money.
In fact, they're the ones you really have to worry about, right? They're the ones that say, I may have just fallen off the turnip truck, and I'm consider me a little slow.
It'd be interesting that conversation with McClure, right?
Exactly.
He may think himself
It's
to be
dumb money.
his dumb money. He moves so fast, does so many deals, that he's there to give you money. This is a whole different topic, and I think are you gonna talk? What are you talking about next month?
Financing.
So there is a part of this revolution, I think, is the upheaval in the venture capital business, and this notion of 500,000 is the new 5 million. Angels, super angels, those are other terms you'll hear. Go blog, Google David McClure. He's a West Virginia native, by the way. How many investments has he done this year? 50, 60? Does a couple every day.
He's in a cab right now, right?
Yeah.
What kind of investments is he?
He does 50.
Seed, early stage, tech, startups?
Yeah.
Because the reason I ask that is, you know, I start thinking dumb money, smart money. If you have a place like Lexington with lots of money in the horse industry tied up in that, right? And you come in with these very, like, they move so fast. Like, you know, you can fire up, like, right now the Facebook Deals program starts. You can have a plan together next week and be ready to present a business idea the following week. They move that fast. Is the money that's available in the Lexington area able to deal with that kind of velocity? Is there any way to tap it, or are we always going to be looking?
And I think one of the things we're brainstorming, and this is an invitation for engagement, is a Tech Stars kind of model where there's a 3-month boot camp and you're either funded or you're not.
It's brilliant idea.
Awesome Inc., if there's anybody from Awesome here, you guys are doing Startup Weekend, right? Same idea, right? You got 48 hours and there's a business model, business plan, potentially funded, seed funded. It is, and that's part of this, and Paul, you'll probably touch on a lot of this, is this new model for financing these companies. It can't move. I was talking to a guy, 19 months of due diligence for a $5 million round. I said, well, shit, he knew you better than your customers know you, right? And it was a partnership out of Boston. You know.
I think along the lines, Jim, with some of these new, call them super angels, that money coming in, talking about being smart money, they're looking at acquisitions pretty quickly, a lot of them, where they might sell the company to an acquirer in 24 months.
The back end exit, as they call it, so when you sell a company, it's called an exit. The exit is 50 million instead of 500 million. It's 24 months instead of 5 years.
So those connections then that those investors have with the people at Google or the people at Microsoft, or the people at potential acquirers, becomes that much more important rather than you're trying to build that up over years of time. So they definitely leverage their connections in those.
Well, Wes, did you?
I just want to say, if you are seeking out VCs for your funding, to just do research on that firm to find out sort of what their specialty is. I was stupid enough to not do that and spent a lot of my time putting together a pitch and then took it to a large firm. Here comes the stuffy guys in the room, and I did my full pitch, and then they were like, "Oh, that's not what we do. That's not our specialty. We don't do tech, video game stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, what's your background? What is it that you do?" And they're like, "Pharmaceutical." I'm like, "Awesome." So
it's a really good point.
A little bit of homework.
Every single significant VC has a profile website. You can look at their portfolios of what they've invested in. You can look at all the partners and associates' backgrounds. Sometimes that's the best way to network. You'll find somebody you went to business school with, you worked with, had a friend who worked with them. Most of the time, you will never walk in the front door of a venture capitalist and get a meeting. It's rare. And so who you know, what you know, networking in, getting a referral is everything.